that you could join us today. Um, for those of you who are just signing on, we were joking a little bit as we said hello to each other and how are you? And Jackie was joking that she's fabulous and fine. Which I totally understand where you're coming from. It's a difficult time, and sometimes it's better and sometimes it's pretty hard. Sometimes it's challenging, sometimes it's depressing. At least that's how it can feel for me. So I imagine that it's like that for everyone. So we come together, and in the coming together, it really speaks to a main part of our talk today, of our sharing with you today, and that is about being together and connecting. It's such a challenge to us right now, living in a pandemic and social distancing, sheltering in place, because we are social beings. We really are wired to connect. It's in our DNA. And I've certainly been noticing, it's one thing to go a couple weeks, it's another to go 6 weeks, 2 months, and not to have access, not to have physical contact, not to just have the more frequent contact that we have with others, and not to have more opportunities to connect in a more meaningful way. I find myself really, really missing that. I'm fortunate as a therapist, I'm able to see people virtually, but it's also not the same as being in person with people. And as I talk to my other colleagues, they're also feeling it as well. We miss being together. So what can we do as it's still important that we're maintaining distance and we're still living with this virus in our midst? What can we do to ameliorate some of that sense of disconnection, loneliness that we might be feeling? How can we maximize connection during this time? And that's something that we're now going to be thinking about. So connecting virtually, which I mentioned, has some drawbacks, but also has benefits. And it affords us the opportunity to at least be together in this way. And if we can seize the moment, and there are moments all the time, we can work to deepen our connections virtually or with the few people that we are able to see in person, over the phone. And what that means is intentionally coming to those experiences, those moments with others, working on trying to be more present to the moment, more present to our feelings, more present to the experience, more present to the other, and then leaning in and finding ways to drop to a deeper space between us and whoever we're talking to, and opening up on a deeper level. When we do that, even when we just dip in a little bit, connections open up. We start to shift and connect in a more meaningful way, and in a way that can be more gratifying and is really fortifying to us and our well-being, uh, and our resilience, and like I said, is meaningful. We feel more closely connected. So all of that sounds good, right? And there are the technical barriers to overcome uh, when we're working virtually. But another barrier that comes up for us, something that I talk a lot about, has to do with our own discomfort when it comes to being more emotionally present with others. Many of us feel uncomfortable, maybe knowingly, but also unknowingly uncomfortable, revealing more of ourselves, sharing more deeply from an emotional place inside of us. Why is that? Why do we feel uncomfortable? Most often we can trace that back to our early experience in life, and it's our early experience in life where we learn how to be with our feelings, how to share our feelings, how to connect, how to read the feelings of others, how to be empathic and responsive. Very early on, we're learning so much about how to emotionally relate. And for many of us, that experience goes well, and we become more comfortable with and adept at being with our emotional experience and sharing and being present with others. But for many of us, we didn't have optimal emotional experiences. Our parents perhaps weren't emotionally mindful or emotionally intelligent. And this is not a criticism, it's just an acknowledgement. Many of them had their own discomfort around emotion. And we pick up on that as children, and we learn, what's okay and what's not okay, just how much to reveal, what not to reveal, what feelings are okay, what feelings are not okay, what draws mommy and daddy close, and what may cause them to have a bad reaction or pull away. And all those lessons that we learn really during a nonverbal time where emotions are a main form of connection are stored implicitly, which means they're unconscious. And we're not necessarily aware of what's happening for us, but our nervous system is. And so we find ourselves as adults in situations, whether it's in our primary relationships or our friends, family, whatnot, where we may have feelings going on inside, feelings sometimes we're not even aware of, feelings that we might want to share, but something stops us from being able to do that. We feel uncomfortable. We worry about how the other person's going to respond. We're worried that if we open up to our feelings, we'll feel overwhelmed, or we'll look foolish, we'll seem weak. We're worried that we'll be negative. And so all these, that and many other different fears or expectations that come from a long time ago come up for us. And again, I'm saying it over and over again, it's not necessarily conscious. We're not necessarily aware of it. Nevertheless, it happens. That's how our brain works, and it stops us. We hold back, or we focus on some certain feelings and not on others. And in this way, we're really not able to show up wholeheartedly in our lives. Now, that sounds bad or negative, but the reality is that this is just sort of how our brain works, and we have the capacity and can grow the capacity to rewire our brain and disentangle ourselves from this early experience, from this early programming. And that's where mindfulness comes in. Because mindfulness is really the key to becoming more aware of what's happening inside of us, to notice what's happening inside of us, to work with what's happening inside of us, and then to find ways to begin to open up to a deeper experience of ourselves and to be more present with others. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to do in our lives in general, and even more now, given what we're facing in our lives. And we can do that in person, and we can also do it virtually. If we're going to get through this time and be better for it, that necessitates us getting through it together and not feeling alone as best as we can. And so these are the keys to being able to do that. Having said that, I'm now going to shift over to Jackie, and who's going to lead us through a meditation. And Jackie, I'm just realizing I didn't introduce ourselves.
I know, I was going to say that.
I'm
so
sorry.
Why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself?
This is our third time doing it, so if you're new to it, you know, you're wondering. I'm Ron.
Who we are.
Yeah, who we are. I went right in. I'm Ron Frederick. I'm a clinical psychologist. I am coming to you from Los Angeles, originally from the East Coast. And I made reference to this, but a big part of my work and something that I've written 2 books about has to do with emotional mindfulness. So the very thing that we're talking about today, and how to use emotional mindfulness to improve and have a more gratifying life and relationships. And I'm joined here by my sister and meditation instructor, Jackie Frederick-Berner.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. And yes, as Ron said, I am a meditation instructor, and I teach classes and workshops that help people bring mindfulness approaches into their lives, whether they be things that they can do in the moment to making a meditation practice a part of a daily routine. And mindfulness meditation has really helped me in my own life, especially in becoming more in touch with my own emotions and my emotional connections, the connections that I have with the people in my life. So I'm really happy to be sharing it with you today. So Ron talked about, you know, how our wiring and our fear and anxiety can get in the way of communicating and opening up to people in a deeper way. And this meditation that I'm going to lead you through is one that will help you access the natural presence that resides in your body. And this presence really is actually the source of who we are. Underneath all those stories that we tell about ourselves, that churn around and around in our heads, and even underneath our early emotional wiring. So touching into this place and cultivating this place can allow us to communicate from this place. So I'm going to invite you to get settled in your seat and take a few deep breaths at your own pace. Deep breaths from your abdomen up through your body, in and out. And if you've closed your eyes, I'd just like you to open them just for a minute. And I invite you to take in your surroundings by just slowly turning your head from side to side. You're just pivoting, and you're seeing objects and colors and the light maybe walls and windows. Just do an exploration of your surroundings, allowing your gaze to linger on anything of interest. And when we move our eyes and our head and our neck in this way, what we're doing really is we're sending a signal to our nervous system that we can relax where we are, that we're safe. It's really an unconscious evolutionary instinct that we use to assess that we're free from danger. So now let your head come back to resting and just take a moment to notice how you feel safe where you are. And you can close your eyes. Maybe you feel the need to take in a few more breaths. And now that your body and mind know that you're safe, let's move on to what it feels like to be in your body. Just become aware of any sensations of weight or heaviness. Notice the way your lower body connects to what you're sitting on. Feel that felt sense of your body sitting, the space it's taking up. Just let your awareness rest in this sensation of weight. Tuning into the downward force of gravity that's keeping you connected to your chair. And if your attention wanders, just gently notice that. And then come back to the feeling of the weightiness in your body. You can just anchor your attention here. And now let your attention move to your mid and upper body. Just become aware of that part of your body. Your belly up through your chest, right below your neck, your low back, through your mid back, to your upper back. Feel your front body and back body just rising from your hips. And just sense how your body supports you. And can you imagine that support as a centering vertical line that runs through the length of your entire upper body? Just rest in that center of support. And as you're resting here, just tune into the sensations of your breathing, following your natural breath in and out. And it's natural that your mind will wander to sounds or thinking or sensations. Just notice when that happens and gently bring your awareness back to your breath. So you're grounded in your lower body, you're centered in your upper body, and your breath moves in and out at its own pace. Now let's draw our attention to different parts of our bodies that tend to feel rich with sensations, our extremities. So bring your attention to your hands. Let's get a felt sense of your hands, how they feel resting, maybe against your body, their temperature, their weight. Any sensations that are there, maybe subtle, any vibrations. And now bring your attention to your feet. Noticing, are they warm, cold? Can you feel their weight? The way they're making contact with the floor? How they feel inside your shoes or your socks? Just rest your attention, your awareness on your feet. These places are anchors in our body that we can tap into to get in touch with our presence, to feel what's going on for us in the present moment. So I'm going to invite you to shift your attention between these four anchors: your grounded body, the connection that it's making to the chair, that downward force of gravity, moving to your center line in your mid body, that centering supportive line that runs through you. Your breath moving in and out. And your touch points, your hands, your feet. Just take a moment to shift from one to the other and just notice which of these four anchors is most readily accessible to you. Which one, or maybe a few, help you connect most naturally with presence, that sense of being here in a relaxed and open way. Your body making connection to your chair, your center, your breath, your hands and your feet. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes and take in your surroundings. And just take a moment to notice how you feel. So, when we invite our attention into our bodies this way, we become embodied and we create a feeling of safety, and we ground and we center and we rest in our breath, and we touch in with our aliveness through our touch points, our hands and our feet. And when we can move into this place, instead of just communicating from our heads, from the neck up, when we move into our body, we add the breath of our heart and our emotions into how we're communicating, because that's really where our emotions live. We tend to walk through life disconnected from them, all up in our head. But when we can integrate it all, we find that we can communicate in a deeper way, in a less superficial way. So this is, I offer this meditation to you all. So, Ron is going to talk a little bit about other ways that we can deepen our connection with people. Um, but having this kind of as a base is a way for us to feel safe and grounded when we put ourselves out there, to make those connections and we expose our vulnerability. So I'm going to hand it over to Ron.
Thanks so much, Jackie. That was lovely. And I agree with you. It really, well, there were a few things going on in the meditation. The piece about being, well, the piece that you were just speaking to about being mindful of our experience, uh, absolutely is something that, and to be mindful of it and to be with it and to then find some safety and security in that, to find something to stand on or sit on, depending on what you're doing. And to move from that place, to share from that place is so important. And really, one of the things that I talk about and loving like you mean it is about mindfully relating. And we can connect better and more meaningfully when we're maintaining awareness of our here and now experience. Uh, when we're slowing down and noticing what's happening for us, allowing for that and staying present, which is so much of what you were trying to help us do, right, Jackie? So that's woven through. Now I'm going to give you some suggestions to help you seize a moment or opportunity to find moments for deeper connection in your life. But these principles are woven through the whole experience. So the first thing that I'd like to say is about intention. So setting an intention is important. So you may walk away from here and think, I want to lean in, I want to try and connect, I want to connect more meaningfully with the people in my life. And you may have some ideas about how to do that. Having an intention is important. Otherwise, we'll just sort of do what we do. And when we explicitly set an intention, we can also hold ourselves accountable to that. So we know we're going to be talking with someone, we're going to be seeing someone, we're going to be connecting. We make an intention to really pay attention to what's going on for us, or what, in fact, we might really want to share with the other person. So, we celebrated my brother-in-law's 65th birthday, and Jackie organized a virtual toast to him. And I really thought about, what I wanted to say. It was an opportunity. And that, made for a much more meaningful experience. I wanted to share something from my heart, and it wasn't easy. I felt emotional doing it. But that's what happens, right? And I believe that it was a gift that was received, and it was also a gift to me. And I wish that I was practicing some of the things that you mentioned today, Jackie. Because when this
You did a great job. You did a great job, Ron.
Because I want to just also acknowledge and share, like, the swell of feelings can come up, and that's sort of like hard to ride out. And but we can do it a little bit at a time. So we set an intention, and that's an example. And so the next time that you're with someone, to remind yourself of that, next time that you're engaging with someone, whether it's virtually or on the phone or in person, have that in mind and know that any moment is a moment in which you can drop down into a deeper experience. And so as Jackie was helping us do, another thing to be thinking about is just tuning into what's happening for you, tuning into what's happening for the moment, letting yourself slow down and observe what's there. And from that place, as we observe, we're helping ourselves be more present, we're regulating our experience, and we can be then more attuned to what feelings may be coming up for us in the moment. And the feelings are really a springboard from which we can then move into a deeper communication. The other piece is to slow down, right? Sometimes easier said than done, but when you start to tune into your experience, you're already slowing yourself down. We can come with the intention or tell ourselves to slow down. One thing that I'm very aware of, and I am doing right in the moment, is the slower I speak, the more connected I feel to my experience. I can pause, I can wait and find a word. And that is also helping to regulate my nervous system. If we're talking really quickly and we're talking up here, our nervous system is moving at a faster rate. So you can intentionally shift your physical experience by just slowing down the way that you're talking, slowing down your speech. And you also notice that my tone changes. So if we're talking like this, it's harder to be intimate than if we're talking from this place. We start to feel closer to what's going on inside of us. If we can, making eye contact is important. It can feel scary if we're being vulnerable, but it also puts us in touch with the moment. Now, making eye contact virtually or on the phone, it's impossible. Virtually, it's a little strange because we're not exactly making eye contact. So there is something that it's harder for our brain. But there is also a way in which it helps us feel more connected on some level. It also gives us an opportunity to really see the other person. And our fears, our expectations inside is maybe that they'll turn away from us, or that they'll think that we're, they'll have a bad reaction. And oftentimes that's not the case. When we make eye contact and we look, we actually have an opportunity to disconfirm our fears. The other piece that's already been mentioned is really just about observing. So when you're with someone, and maybe when you're feeling anxious, or you're anticipating sharing something, or you're in the process of sharing something, to observe what's happening for you in the moment, to just observe what's happening with your breath, what's happening in your body. Where is your voice lying inside of you? What's happening with the other person? And when we observe, we bring the front part of our brain online. And that helps to balance out our experience. So we're not completely in our right brain or limbic, we're balancing out our brain, and that's helping to balance out our inner experience. So those are just a few suggestions to help you. And I want to just encourage you to go forth in the world now with an intention to try and connect, a little more deeply, a little more openly in your relationships. It's such a powerful thing. It's such a powerful source of energy, information, and really healing. And the healing comes in expressing, but it's also in the reception, and it's in the shared experience, and it's in feeling more deeply connected. And it seems to me that's what we all really, really need more than ever right now to feel. So we have about 5 minutes left, and we just want to open things up to see if you have any questions or observations, anything you'd like to share. If you do that, just unmute yourself, because everyone's muted now, and feel free.
I also want to get a little lower grit.
I need a thicker.
Hello? Someone was speaking. It was from Missy's phone. Maybe not intentionally. It's okay.
I have
Sorry.
a question. Oh, good. Here we go.
Oh, hi.
I'll hold my question.
Go
I
ahead.
was just what? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's hard virtually, right? Elizabeth?
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard virtually.
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to Jackie and to you, Fred. I have your book. It's very helpful. And the slowing down really resonates with me a lot. I really notice when I'm emotionally activated from my past, from my history, my childhood, everything speeds up, and I feel disconnected. So I can't imagine how someone else would feel connected listening to me. But so I noticed that, and I know that that's one of the greatest tools in my toolkit, and it was a great reminder to slow down and breathe.
Great.
So, thanks for the reminder.
You're welcome. Thanks for sharing that and highlighting that. There was another person speaking up?
It's Missy. Hi,
Okay. Hi,
Jackie
Missy.
and Fred. It's very nice to meet you.
It's
I
Ron.
can so. Oh, Ron. I'm sorry.
It's
Sorry.
okay.
I
It's all right.
I can see why you guys make such a great brother-sister team. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I think this was recorded. I'm hoping so because I'd like to share it with my kids. And I'd like to just comment about you all gave us so much guidance on the emotional piece, which is really hard to grasp in a house of all men, being the only woman. So you've touched on something big that I really need to work on and focus on. And I have just even a better understanding of that just through this time together. So I'm really thankful for that. And I think this might be my Mother's Day gift to my boys, this presentation. So thank you. I look forward to staying in touch.
And you'll get that. Missy. Thanks, Missy. Thanks so much. And you will get a link to that in our follow-up email that we send everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'd like to say something. So what I'm noticing is when we started, I was, of course, up here. And during the meditation, it really took me a while. And I kept going to my thoughts and what I have to do with the day. And it was really helpful, Jackie, as you kept reminding me to come back to my hands or my feet or what I'm sitting on or my core. And as the meditation continued, and particularly towards the end, and at this point, I start to feel much more present, not so much that there's these thoughts that are, floating in and out, being able to take in what I'm hearing. And so it's so helpful. It is difficult to make myself meditate every day. I have so many other things I want to be doing that it's hard to do that on a regular basis, but this is so helpful. And so thank you. And of course, Ron, I love your teaching and I loved what you said in the beginning, and I'm going to keep that in mind as I work with my clients today. And just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And as Ron will attest, it's a practice that we can do like in our everyday lives. I mean, meditation is great. Not everybody can do it, but if you can just bring yourself back throughout your day, like when you're feeling like lost in a conversation, to those touch points, just doing it in the moment. I think now more than ever, I'm finding that I'm actually like living my meditation daily because there's so much stress. There's so much, even confrontation between, different belief systems in the world, that I'm really having to ground myself in the moment. So maybe that's the silver lining of this Corona crisis. In order to survive, we really have to find our center.
Work harder. Vanessa, you wanted to say something?
Yes, thanks, Ron. I'm a clinical social worker and I practice EMDR therapy. And I want to thank you. I used your book and some of the exercises in the Loving Like You Mean It with one of my clients. She was nowhere near being ready to process with EMDR. And thanks to some of the exercises in your book, she got in touch with her body. And she told me I was crazy for making her do this. And we would sit in session and I would tell her to focus on her anxiety, to focus on her body, and she would roll her eyes. And now she's actually been able to process some of her trauma with EMDR. She's exploring spirituality for the first time as a lesbian woman who was horrifically abused by a fundamentalist church in a small Texas town. It's just been amazing. And I firmly believe that it started with me learning from your book how to help a client get in touch with her body. So it's not often you get to actually say thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. I'm so moved by that. And I really
Just
appreciate
know that you are really changing lives.
I'm really touched by that. I really appreciate it. And, you know, it really speaks to, our health is emotional mindfulness. Being able to be with our experience is really the foundation for our health. And work can happen, through that. So we're going to stop for now. We thank you so much for coming and sharing and being with us, spending this little bit of time with us today. You're so welcome. And we will be in touch about what follows from here. You want to say anything, Jackie?
No, I just want to say thank you and just remind everybody that we all yearn to communicate at a deeper level, and we have a friend in our body. Our body, when we touch in, can help us get there. So I just encourage you to touch in.
Okay, everyone, have a good day.
Take care, everybody.
Take
Thank
care.
you.